Yo, what's up, guys? It's Topics here, and we have the first commentary of Season 3 for you. This is a plus 12 Dawnbreaker, my first 12 of the season. Um, and so, yeah, we're just going in for this first pull. I usually kick the first Shadow Mage to group it in, and then from there, you can send your stops and stuff like that. Do not lust this pull. The next pull is more difficult than this. If you are like a 45-second or 1 minute class that has those CDs, you can send them here. But if you're a 2 minute class, I would hold. If you're like a 1.5 or 2 minute class, I would hold because the next pull is a lust pull. Something I'm going to be trying to do with these commentaries is try and skip the parts that are self-explanatory just to make the videos a little bit shorter and the commentaries not so long. But yeah, this pull is really just kicking and stopping everything. And if you do get targeted with a channel, because there are single target channels that go off there, you can pop a defensive on high keys. It'll probably be pretty painful. So next, I'm going in and I'm kicking the Shadow Mage again. I could Spell Reflect, but I know that in a pug, everyone's just going to kick it anyway. And they're not going to let me get the Spell Reflect value. People forget so often to let warriors Spell Reflect the first casts. So yeah, we're lusting, we're popping all of our cooldowns. They did change this pull from Season 1. There's only one kick now, which is the Shadow Mage. The commander does not have a kick anymore. It used to have like a fear that you'd have to kick, but now that's just kind of like an AoE damage event, and there's nothing to kick. So this pull's actually easier than before. But I'm going to go ahead and skip forward a little bit. Okay, we're just finishing this guy. So I'm going to go to the ship with four ads on it now. This pull is a little bit easier in my opinion. So after you've sent all your cooldowns on that first pull, or sorry, on that last lust pull, it's easier to come here in my opinion, since this is the easier pull and no one has CDs. So this just has two kicks. The Web Mage can't be stopped, it can only be kicked. The Shadow Mage can be stopped, so you're going to need a kick rotation on your Web Mage. You can just like stop or stun the other guy or kick it. And then we're going to click the canister after this guy dies in the middle, and then we're going to fly to the next ship. For those of you that haven't seen this dungeon before, I'm just going to wait here so you can see. So yeah, this canister right here spawns, and then you have to click it. It's the same thing for the other ship that we're flying to. Oh my gosh, the frame rate. So yeah, I'm gonna fly to this other ship, and then again I have Spell Reflect up, but someone always kicks and doesn't let me get Spell Reflect value. The reason this pulls a little bit harder, at least as a tank, is because there's a commander that does a bleed on you, and so it's nicer to have CDs for this, if possible. But if the key is too low, you might still not have CDs for this. But anyways, I'm gonna fast forward this pull because it's basically just the commander hitting the tank and then one kick. It shouldn't be too dangerous. At least on a plus 12 key. This bursting cocoon can actually hit super hard on high keys. You're gonna need a defensive for that before it goes off. You can see the DK got chunked for like half of its health. On high keys, that can one-shot you without a defensive. So I'm gonna fast forward here, and we're flying back to the main ship, and we're getting ready to do the first boss. What's changed with this boss from Season 1? So, the biggest thing probably is, so first of all, you have to defensive this Obsidian Bean as a tank. I would just get used to pressing defensive here, because on high keys, it's probably going to one-shot you with no defensive, so just get used to popping a defensive there as a tank. But the biggest thing that's changed is who the Collapsing Knights can target. They can definitely target melee players. So just be careful. If you're a melee and you have no range in your group, try and pre-spread for that. And then also, Speaker Shadow Crown does not teleport anymore. So, like sometimes if you're a tank and you'd move far enough from the boss would teleport to you to like make up the ground. It doesn't do that anymore, so you just have to really be mindful of dragging the boss away from the Collapsing Knights to give your team room to spread for the beams. But as a tank, this fight's pretty easy. Just make sure the boss is positioned away from the pools and press a defensive on the Acidium beams. It's probably a harder healer fight because you have to deal with um, these dots that go out, and they go out on like 2 players at once. But since you only have one dispel, unless you're playing priest, one player's gonna always get chunked from that. Um, Also, as a prot warrior, what you can do is make sure that you have rage going, flying out of this, so that when you come back, you can immediately shield wall again, or not shield wall, shield block. Um, if you fly out with like no rage, you might come back without shield block, and you might get chunked really heavily. So it's okay to stand there and build up rage before you fly away. Anyways, I'm gonna fast forward this because this is just the same old. So the boss is gonna finish here, and you're gonna see this. I stand here, and I actually, I have 10 seconds, so I'm building a little bit of rage here. Because I'm gonna fly down, and I want to be able to have shield block up for this next pull. So this is a hard pull. I'm gonna talk about it. So I press shield block because I had rage stored. I throw an axe, taunt, and throw an axe at this other side. And then just make sure you're sending all your abilities once they gather here to get aggro. The most important thing about this pull, I'm going to pause it and talk about this, is right here. These are Shadow Blade stacks, and they're from the Shadow Walkers. So like every 2 seconds you get hit with a stack. So if there's 4 of them, you're getting hit with 4 stacks like every 2 seconds. Watch how fast this goes up. So yeah, it's already at 21 like after 2 seconds because I got another 4 stacks. This basically increases the amount of damage that the Shadow Walkers do to you, like their melee hits. So if these stacks get too high, you're just going to get white swung to death. So, but other than that, this pull is really easy because there's only one caster. The Manifested Shadows do put out dots on people occasionally, but the scariest part of this pull is definitely for the tank taking these stacks. At about 35 to 40 stacks, I would try and drop them. They are 5 seconds long, so you do need CC or help from your group to be able to drop these. What you can do is you can shockwave and leap away and then try and kite a little bit until the stacks fall off. You'll see me try and do that in a second here. Let's see. So you see I shockwave because I'm at 32 stacks and I'm leaping over here, but unfortunately they don't quite drop because I didn't give myself enough space. You probably actually need another stun. You probably actually need like two AoE stops or stuns to actually fully kite and drop these. And because I didn't drop them, you'll see how dangerous this pull gets. Remember I said drop it from 35 to 40? Now that we're past the point that I'd like to drop it, you can see how dangerous this is getting. I have shield block up and I'm trying to keep my ignore pain up, but we're at 50 stacks, and that's why I'm kind of running around trying to prevent the amount of times I'm getting meleeed, because I know that the white swing hits from the Shadow Walkers are just going to destroy me at this point. If you make this mistake on a high key, you're probably going to die. You really need to be able to drop those stacks, and the only way to drop them is to let them organically drop after 5 seconds. You cannot dispel that. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about that pull. You want to make sure your team has full CDs for that last pull. Anyways, I'm going to go in here, fight this guy. This guy hasn't changed at all. He puts this dot on players, and then does the slam on the tank. You can press a defensive as the tank on a high key, but sometimes just shield block and ignore pain is enough to live that. But I'm going to fast forward this. The next pull we do is right up here. This is definitely a doable pull, but again, there's 2 Shadow Walkers that are going to be putting those stacks on you. And so again, when the stacks get high, try and shockwave or have your team stun them and leap away so you can drop the stacks. The nice thing about this is you can kind of use this middle thing to run around to get away from them. But it looks like they were stunned long enough there where I was able to drop some stacks, so that definitely helps. But this is still a difficult pull, so do not underestimate this pull. Any pull with multiple Shadow Walkers is hard on the tank, especially because the commander's hitting me with a bleed as well. So after this pull, we're actually going to go outside to the right, and we're going to do this pull. Again, there's a Shadow Walker in here, so you have to be mindful of the stacks. And I'm kind of like, I'm wanting my team to kick this Darkcaster to bring him over a little bit more before I gather the rest. Okay, so now that we're stabilized a little bit, I'm going to go gather the other 4-pack over there. Again, this pull's hitting me hard because the Shadow Walker stacks, so I'm hesitant to pull the rest right now because I'm not that stable. Alright, I'm going to pull the rest. I would have liked to pull this in earlier, but it's better to live than to try and be overly ambitious. So again, I have 23 stacks. I think I stun and leap away soon here. Yeah, I got the bleed going now, and I have 28 stacks. Yeah, so I shockwave, leap away, and then I think I actually do successfully drop this. There we go. So as soon as those are dropped, this pull is just way easier. Anyways, we're going to finish off this pull. I'm not sure if this pull is going to be a thing on high keys. I don't know if pulling any commanders on high keys is going to be a thing because it does a bleed on the tank constantly. But we'll see. It may still be a thing, but I wouldn't be surprised. But in a 12, it's fine right now. After this, Lust is up. So we're going to fly over to the Lust boss. Or the Lust mini boss. This is your typical Lust, second Lust in Season 1, and it's no different here. You have the caster, and then you have the mini boss. So just make sure you're kicking the caster. The mini boss is going to do like the frontal orb at you, and the tactician also is going to do a frontal that you have to dodge. I'm waiting for my AoE kick to come up here, and then I'm going to pull actually in these other two guys too to make this pull a little bit more bang for our buck since we're lusting and sending CDs. It's nice to have AoE kick up for this pull though, just to help gather everything. But anyway, this pull is pretty the same. You got the two casters dodging the frontal from the tactician and the mini boss, and then the two Shadow Walker stacks shouldn't be as big of a deal here because you're lusting and popping CDs, so hopefully you can kind of just tank this until they die. That's the plan. But I'm probably just going to skip this because nothing else to really talk about there. And then because I know everyone popped lust in their CDs, I mean, I guess except for the Sham for some reason didn't. Maybe a sentence was up. Anyways, we're going to fly over here. We're going to do another trash pull. And I actually make a mistake here, and I'm going to talk about it. Anyways, there's a caster that needs to be kicked here, two tacticians with frontals, and then there's a Shadow Walker with two manifested shadows. But we'll talk about the mistake I made here. So, see this big chunk? I got hit in the back. If you can see, my character is actually facing the left. So, I'm probably not going to gather it like this anymore. That was definitely a mistake. I should have actually just thrown axes and had them meet me in the middle, and then just done some hard-hitting abilities to grab threat. Because as long as my teammates are not running over there or popping stuff too early, it shouldn't be an issue. But for me to charge over there and then immediately start walking back, my back was exposed and I got melee hit in the back before I even had like any mitigation or anything up. So extremely scary, and you know, that proc cheat death. Who knows what would have happened if I didn't have cheat death there? You know, just a prime example of why you can never have your back showing as a Prot warrior. But either way, these are all mobs we've seen before. There's only one Shadow Walker, so you don't really have to be too worried about these Shadow Blade stacks. What I would worry about though, there's actually a patrol that comes up and down here. So if the pull lasts long, the patrol will start walking back, and DPS players like this guy here tend to stand there and sometimes backpedal, and they can butt pull the patrol that comes here. So just be wary of that. We're gonna skip here, and we're gonna be going to the next mini boss, which is this guy. Now I want to talk about something quick here. So it's really important to have rage banked as you're heading over to this next guy, because as Prot warrior, you know that like unless we're fighting someone or something, we can't have any mitigation up. So to be able to have rage banked, it's going to allow me to immediately get shield block up, and then I'm probably going to immediately shield wall just because the amount of damage I'm going to take up front here is very high. So you'll see what I mean here. So I dismount, and then look at this. Because you know, am taking a bunch of raw hits without anything up, you take a ton of initial damage. But I pop shield wall and shield block immediately um, to stabilize myself. But it's very, very dangerous. And imagine if I didn't have rage built and it took me another few seconds to get shield block up. Very, very dangerous. So anyways, I want these two guys to come in with this. That's what kind of why I backed up and I'm playing this corner. And then, you know, as a tank, you just want to make sure the tactician frontals are away from the group into this corner so that your group has the entire rest of the area here to stand. Yeah, that's this pull. I'm probably going to skip. After this pull, we go to second boss. Nice thing about this is they removed the ad that was back here, so you can really play as deep back here as you want and not worry about pulling this middle stuff. So that's super, super chill on this boss this season. But yeah, the only thing for a tank, at least Protware on this, is press the defensive on the tank buster, and then you can just charge back. You don't need to like have your back up against a railing here or anything. And that's another change they made is you can actually get targeted with those orb frontals as a tank now in this dungeon. You'll see me backing up here for the tank buster and then charging back. You couldn't get targeted by those frontals as a tank last season. Or not last season, in season 1, but now you can, so just be wary of that as a tank. You might get that frontal pointed away from the group and then move out of the way. But other than that, this boss is the same. It's got the tank buster, it's got the AoE damage, and it's got the ads. And it basically just rinses and repeats. It's very scripted, so on high keys, you're going to probably plan out your defensive usage here really specifically. But yeah, the tank buster, again, as a Prot War is super easy because you can just charge back and the knock doesn't really scare you. You know, if you're a Prot Paladin or like a DK or something, that might be a little worse. But anyways, I'm going to skip this. Scripted fight, and then we're going to fly up to the top here. Again, you want mitigation as you're going into this. You'll see me pop shield wall. This guy hits you insanely hard as soon as you go in. Like, you see how he's just chunking me? If I didn't have a defensive up, it's very scary. Try and play this boss in the middle of the room just so that you're in the best position possible to kick in ads and group up ads, because they do spread like all over the boat. If you're like playing over here, you can have an ad spawn over there, and that would be really, really difficult to try and manage and stabilize. But this pull is basically just gathering the ads in with kicks or grips. And then there's like these 2 circle debuffs that go out on players that they're going to need to press a defensive for. And then it's just rinse and repeat. It's more ads to kick and group, and then just more tormenting eruptions going out in the group that need to be healed or defensive. So then we're going to skip. Going to the boss here. This boss hasn't changed at all since season 1, so I don't even know how much of it's worth talking about. It's the rolling acid wave you want to take away from the group. Got to dodge the frontal, and then when the bombs spawn, your DPS is going to want to go out and grab the bombs to throw into the boss. And then there's the AoE explosive spray that's coming out right now. You'll see how much damage it's doing on a 12. Nothing crazy, but not insignificant either. But basically, as the bombs continue spawning and your DPS throw them into the boss's health will get chunked. And once you've thrown 6 bombs into the boss, it'll phase. And I'll skip to the phase here. So here's the phase. The boss goes to fly away. If you haven't done this dungeon before, you can see where I fly. You can fly to the same spot every time. It's all the way over here under this bridge. You can collect this orb under the bridge to make yourself safe, because if you don't collect the orb, you actually only have 10 seconds to fly down here. And, you know, if you don't know where this spot is, or maybe for some reason your flight takes a little bit longer, it can get a little close. So collecting that orb is also fine on the way over. And then another cool tip is, as the boss is flying over here, you can actually hit the boss. See how I'm starting to hit the boss and it's not even here yet? The hitbox is so big that you can actually start hitting the boss before he's even landed. So, but this is your very last lust of the dungeon, all CDs, lust, and then it's some of the same mechanics from before. The rolling acid, the frontal you have to dodge, and the explosive spray AoE. The only difference here is these webs that go out on players. They have to take them out of the group, and then it explodes for single damage on them, single target damage on them. But yeah, that's about it. And then it's just rinse and repeat. And hopefully you have enough defensives to last through the web hits and the explosive spray. And hopefully you have enough damage to time the dungeon. And that is all she wrote. This boss dies once it gets to 59.9%. So you'll see us get to 60 here, not dead. And then, yeah, once it's just right below 60, you win the dungeon. That is it for this commentary, you guys. Hopefully enjoyed it. I'm going to be doing at least one commentary of each dungeon this season, and then if I think that the commentary needs to be redone because the route has changed, there's a lot of new tech, I will redo the commentary. Leave a like and subscribe if you want more content like this. And yeah, thanks for watching. Peace out. Shout out to all of the Patreon members. It's because of your support that I'm able to continue making Protection Warrior and World of Warcraft content. Thank you.